Well, hello Internet, and welcome to the set of CNBC. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create all these graphics, how to green screen, as well as how to save all this for a template for Premiere Pro. And I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to make everything you just saw. So what I did was I just imported my CNBC logo, my New York background, and the actual movie of me yelling. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a new composition. And I'm just going to make it 1080p, 1920, 30 pixels, all fine stuff, background black, click on OK. And the idea here is that I am going to go and green screen everything. So I went and dropped in my picture. This is a 4K video, which I just filmed on my iPad on a bad green screen. So you're going to see what it's like to try and fix something that's not particularly good. So I'm just going to open up Transform here, and I'm going to scale this down until I get it the same size as our window, all right? Which ends up being 50%. So there we go, we have me making a face. So what I wanna do is I wanna green screen this out. And how you're gonna do that is you're gonna come in, you're gonna get rid of this, you're gonna go into Effects and Presets, and you're just gonna come in here and you're gonna type in Key. And Key Light plus Key Center plus Advanced Spill Suppressor is what you want. You're going to drag that over here, drop it in. All right, so like I said, this is going to be something that's pretty hard to green screen because mainly we got a lot of light burning right here, and there's all sorts of, it's just not great. If you want to use green screen, I've had best results with felt, so don't use paint. And otherwise, you have to have your lighting absolutely perfect, so felt works best. But either way. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to show you how to fix this up so that it looks as good as what you just saw. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here where I have my video. I'm going to double click on it. And now I have this part over here, and this is going to be the main viewing area. So I'm going to be playing around here and it's going to be changing this. But I have to come into Views, change this to None. And you're mainly going to stay in your intermediate result. You're going to bounce around, but your final work is going to be your intermediate result. And another thing to note is if the lighting changes dramatically in any way over the course of your video, you're going to want to come down here and go and make a cut so that you'll be able to split your video. And then, of course, you'll have to do green screening in two different ways, but that's what happens. So what we're going to want to do here now is we're going to use this tool right here, over here, to try to find the most basic area of your, the most average of all your greens. And I found the easiest way to do that is to change from intermediate result to status like this. Then you're going to select this tool right here, and you're going to hold down your Option key and you're going to click. And you can see right here, the black area is going to be the part that is going to be completely transparent, while the different grays are going to be partially transparent, and the white is going to be 100%. So that's not particularly good. So I'm just going to undo that, and I'm basically going to try to find an area here where I have good results. And so that's just going to take a while of playing around. And I'm just holding down the Option or the Alt key if you're on Windows and clicking around trying to find an area where most of the green screen is black and most of my body is white. And after a bunch of clicking around, you can see right here that I got pretty much what I want. Another thing you can do, however, is you can come in here, and what I did was I just clicked on the color itself, and you can move this guy around also, and to try to get more black and more white also. So it's up to you whatever you want to do in regards to that. But I'm just going to stick with this right here. Then you're going to have some things you're going to be able to mess with. Your screen grain right here, the more you increase that, the more of your subject you're going to lose. So you can come in here and just increase this. And I'm also going to hold down the Command or the Control key. And if you do that, you're actually going to be able to slow down the increase of that. I'm actually not going to do much with it because there's other tools that I think work a lot better. Screen balance, I've also found, is not going to work very well, especially whenever you're dealing with a green screen background that's kind of messed up like this one is. Of course, I'm showing you a green screen that is not very easy to work with because if it's easy to work with, then you're going to have no problems. Now what I want to do is I want to go up here and change from status to a screen matte. And you can see over here is the difference. Again, the black 100% transparent, the gray is partially transparent. So I want to get this part inside of here completely white, this part outside of here as black as humanly possible. To do so, you're going to go into screen matting like this. And this is where I found you get your best results. You're going to want to take your clip white way down. And you can see on the right side of the screen that it is going away. However, you're also seeing that this area right here is showing up. Now, if your background that is behind here is pretty busy, the user or the viewer isn't going to even see this. However, they are going to notice all kinds of mess ups in regards to your main subject. So it's sort of a give or take in regards to how that's going to work out for you. And it's basically just playing around and seeing what is going to work for you. You can also go into your screen softness, and I'm going to increase this up to say 2. And that is just going to smooth these edges that are on here, specifically the pointy edges. The other options that are available here, you're going to have your screen shrink and grow. And what that's going to do is increase and decrease your selection. I'm not going to play around with that. One thing that I have found that works really well is you want your replace method to be based off of source. Then you have your key cleaner down here. And what this is going to do is it is going to lower your edge radices. And I have that on. That's why the FX is shown there. There it's off. Now it's back on again. I'm going to turn on chatter. And I'm going to come in and lower this down to say like around 8. Again, I'm just looking at what I have here result-wise and just making guesses on what I think it's going to look like. Then you're going to have another option, which is your advanced spill suppressor. I turned that on right there. And what it does is it tries to remove the spill of green in the background. The only negative with it is it can sometimes change the colors of your main image. So, bad thing. Most of the time, if you want to use it, you're going to want to set this to ultra. And for the most part, I don't even fiddle with these things because they don't seem to work particularly well. But you can go back inside of here now after all these changes and change back into intermediate result. And you can see what we have right here. And then what we can do is we can come back into our project and we can drop in our New York City backgrounds. And that is going to be increased in size. So transform. There's your scaling. I'm going to scale that up like this until it completely fills my background. And you can see here that even though there is a little bit of a mess up right in here, you can't see it. So don't worry about it. I mean, you're not going to be able to see any problems that you have there. So in my opinion, there's no point in playing around with it and really worrying about it. And like I said, felt background is going to give you a better result, so you're going to like that more. We can now come in here and we can close this. And this is the main subject area. It seems like every time I stop, I'm making an extremely strange face. And another thing you can do is you can come in here and draw in a mask around this. And you can either draw a mask with your rectangle tool or you can draw it with your pen tool. I normally draw it with a pen tool. And then just what you're going to need to look for is positions in which, like if my head moves in a weird direction or whenever I pick my hand up to point. But like I said, there's not much in regards to mess ups inside of here. But let's just say that there was. So I'm just going to come in here and play around with this to try and find a point in which I go and actually start pointing. Okay, so I have that right there. There we go. So if I did want to mask this, how I would mask it is I would find the position, the situation in which my finger was pointed as high as humanly possible. So I think right in that very area. Then I would come in with my pen tool, make sure that I have my movie selected, which is what I'm editing here. I'm going to zoom out. And then I would just come in with the pen tool and draw a mask around all of this area, right like this. And you want to get as close as humanly possible, but at the same time, you don't want to mess up any of your work. And this is also going to get rid of that little bit of cloudiness that is over on the right side of my head. And we can draw like this. There we are. And now this is going to be our mask. And you can see here is our mask. But I am not going to really worry. You don't really see it because I have to come in here and shut the background off, and now you see that there's a mask there. All right, but you have to make sure that it's completely surrounding all movements of your video across the entire thing. Then, after you're done with that and you're happy with your mask, what you're going to do is you, of course, are going to export it. Very simple. Just go File and Export, and you're going to go Adobe Media Encoder Q. Press on that. Whenever that opens up, there's going to be your video. You're going to say you want to save it as 1080p, and then you're going to click on the little play button. I've covered this in numerous other videos. It's very easy to work with, and it's going to output your video. And now what I'm going to do is show you how to create all of the graphics. All right, so that was able to generate that video, and now I can go and import that new finished video that we have here, which is called Comp 4. And you can see what that looks like. So I'm just going to say all acceptable formats, and this is just going to be footage, and I'm not creating a composition. Click on Open. And then I'm going to create a new composition here that I'm going to call Main Comp. I'm going to have a whole bunch of pre-comps. This is going to be, again, 1080, 30, and 20 seconds, even though it doesn't need to be that long. Click on OK. Now I got Main Comp open, and I can come down here, grab my video, drop it in, and there is my video. Now what I need to do, and you can see there it is playing. So now what I need to do is I need to come in and throw in all the graphics. But how do we figure out what they look like? Well, what I did was I went and got a screen grab of CNBC. Hopefully I don't get sued for this, but I'll probably just take the video down. So hopefully you're watching this because it might not be up long. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all these little boxes here, pre-comps. So that's going to be a pre-comp. These are all going to be pre-comps, 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 and then we're just going to animate them, okay? So what I need to do is come in, and I use Adobe Illustrator in this situation, and then I use the Measure tool, all right? And over here in the Info panel, this width and height, it's going to tell me how wide these are. So I'm just going to click over here and drag it, and it tells me it's 252 pixels wide, and this one is about 160 high. All right, so that's all I did was I used the little measurement tool inside of Illustrator to go and drag and figure out the sizes for all these different parts. Now what you don't see is this is all animated. There's gradients here that are all animated, and then there's a little white thing that goes across the top that's like, oh, you can see it right here. This thing actually moves across the screen, the little white highlight, and then the backgrounds all move and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Well, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And then this part down here, this text animates just like you saw in the beginning of the video. These guys over here constantly change. This headline constantly changes and so forth. So what I'm going to do is inside of After Effects, I'm going to take all the dimensions of all these individual pieces, turn them into pre-comps, and then I'm going to animate the gradients that lie behind them and also animate the text that lies within them. All right, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to create a new composition. And I'm going to do the headline first. So I'm going to actually call this headline. And then I'm going to define the actual height and width. So it's 137 wide, and it is 138 in height. 30 pixels and 20, and everything else here is exactly the same. Click on OK. All right, so now I got my headline. You can see it's an odd shape, just like the headline is. And I can come in here and zoom in if I would like. I'm going to right-click down here. And I'm going to say new and solid. And I'm just going to leave it be exactly whatever it is and click on OK. Doesn't matter what it is because I'm going to come over here to my effects and I'm going to type in fill. And this is the fill I'm using. I'm just going to drag it over here. Now it's bright red. What I want it to be is bright green, and I'm going to have another green on top of it, and then I'm going to gradiate everything. So I'm just going to click on this color right here. And I went and used my eyedropper tool in the screen capture that I had right there. And the color that I'm going to want to use for this is going to be OB8605, which I think matches up pretty well with what they had on the actual CNBC screen. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to draw a mask over this. And it's going to be a darker color. And it's going to allow a highlight here, and it's going to allow a highlight here, and then we're going to animate all this stuff. So make sure you have this selected. Get your pen tool, and I'm going to draw basically just a mark here, and have there be a highlight down here, and then have there be another highlight up here, and then we'll go and we'll do something like this. All right, so something in this vicinity. Let's go play around with this a little bit. Maybe like that. Maybe drag this in here like this a little bit. Draw another part like around this area like this. And then in this vicinity like that. And again, with the pen tool, just drag it into place. So basically, I just want there to be a highlight here and a highlight there. I'm then going to come in and I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to make a duplicate of it. So Command or Control D. For the part on the bottom here, I'm going to go and get rid of the mask. So I'm just going to delete that. And then up here inside of this guy, I'm going to come over here to the fill color and make this a darker green. So I'm going to say OD36OB, which is the same color I got from Illustrator. And this is going to be a mask area. Then I'm going to go down in masks, mask 1 and mask feather. And we're going to increase this feather so that there is a blur. And I want it to be a pretty dramatic blur. I'm going to take it up to say, let's try like 123. So I just increased that to 123 pixels for the feathering. You can see I basically created an artificial gradient right there. Or it is a gradient. Now what's really neat is we're going to be able to come in here and go and throw a distortion effect inside of here, animation, that is going to allow us to automatically create the movement we want. So over here in Effects and Presets, I'm going to type in Turbulent Displace specifically. Drag that guy and drop it down on our masked area. And now, if you look at it, you're going to see that it moves around on the screen very so slightly. And I want to jack it up so it moves around a little bit more. So I'm going to go into Effects, Turbulent Displace, right like this. Open that up. And we're going to go down here to Evolution. I'm going to go Control or Option. Click on this. And I'm going to change this guy right here to Time times 150. And you saw in the previous video I talked about going and actually using the expression language inside of After Effects. Now, if we run it, you're going to see that the animation is more lively and very similar to what you would actually see in a news program. All right, so cool stuff. Now what I want to do is I want to go and get the little white highlight that moves across the screen. So what I'm going to do is come up here and I'm going to get a rounded rectangle tool like this. And the fill for this is going to be kind of interesting. It's going to be a gradient. So I'm going to come down here to Gradient, select that, Linear Gradient. That's fine. Click on OK. And then we're going to come in here to the fill area. I'm going to click right here in the middle, and this is going to be white. And then I'm going to come down to these guys right here, and I'm going to change the opacity for the ends of it to 0. So just select all these, and there it's 0. All right, so this is going to be 100%, and opacity, take it up to 100. So it's going to be like white that goes into, nothing, so it's invisible. Click on OK. And then we're going to come in here, and we're going to draw in our rounded rectangle across the top. And we're just going to bring it, animate it so it goes across the screen and loops over and over again to give it that highlight look like you see in cable news. So I'm going to go to 4 seconds. We can come in here and we can name this highlight. So highlight like that, just so we know what we're dealing with. I'm going to go to 0 right here and position, set a keyframe. And then at 4 seconds, I'm going to go and grab this guy. So get our selection tool and I'm going to drag it. You can see it's right there on the screen. Maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. Doesn't matter. So anyway, it looks a little bit better. I'm going to add a glow effect to it also. So at 4 seconds, I want it to be off the screen. And then we're just going to loop it over and over and over again. And how are we going to do that? Well, I'm going to come down here to this guy. I'm going to go Control or Option, depending upon if you're on Windows or Mac. And I'm going to select this one. And I'm going to go to Properties. Again, in the last video, I covered expressions. And just go to loop out the expression language anyway. And this is going to cycle. I don't want it to bing bong. And you can see it goes across the screen. All right, so what I want to do to make it look a little bit more like what you see in the CNBC thing is I'm going to add a glow effect to it. So I'm going to come over here, inside of Effects. And I'm just going to type in glow. Stylize glow. There it is right there. So just grab it and drop it on our highlight. And now it looks more like what we were looking for. So let's come in here. And you can see that it goes across the screen real nice. And then it's going to loop again. All right, so cool stuff. We can play around with the radius of the glow if we would like. So I'm going to come up here right where it says glow radius. And we can increase that. So let's take it up to maybe like 65 or something like that. All right, so glow radius 65. And that looks roughly like what I'm looking for. Bring it in here. And it's just going to be like this little highlight that just adds a little bit of an interest to the screen. Now what I need to do is go and actually write the headline inside of here. So I'm going to close all of these boxes and deselect everything. Go and get some text. And I'm just going to use Arial here because everybody has Arial. So Arial like this. And let's take this down to say 55 pixels. And let's see what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to click inside of here. And I'm just going to type in a headline. So broader. All right, so there we go. This is something that was in the news whenever I was making this video, so that's why I did that. All right, so I threw that in there, but that doesn't look very good. So what we want to do is we want to come in and add a drop shadow to this, of course. And there is drop shadow. I just typed in drop. I'm just going to grab this guy, drop it on the text. And we can come into this guy, see if maybe Arial Black looks better. No, that looks terrible. Let's stay with regular Arial. There's Arial right there. And let's make it bold, see if that looks a little bit better. I like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to simulate what we see whenever we are looking at the actual cable news program. All right, now what I need to do is change the text for this. So I'm just going to come in to our text, and here is our source text. I'm going to go and click on the little hourglass, and then I'm going to jump ahead 5 seconds, and I'm going to have all these things change at different time periods. And then I'm going to come in to 5 seconds, create another keyframe, go to 10 seconds, create another keyframe, and 15 seconds, create another keyframe, again, at source text. And then I'm just going to type in different headlines for all of these different keyframes. And here you can see as the animation plays, it plays one headline, switches to the next headline, and so forth and so on. So very, very simple stuff. And there are our headlines, and there is our headline pre-comp, which is done. We can save that and move on to the next one. Now I want to use this same really cool gradient background here. So I'm just going to go to my headline, and I'm going to go Control or Command D to duplicate it. And then this guy, I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to call this Market Up. And like that. And then I'm going to come into Composition Settings, and I'm just going to change it to the same as what we have from our Illustrator analysis. So the width on this guy is 252, but of course the height is exactly the same and everything else is the same. So click on OK. And then we can go mark it up like that. You can see there's all kinds of stuff here messed up. That's fine. I'm going to come in here to this stuff and get rid of it. So I'm going to get rid of this, and there's, I'll leave the highlight in there, why not? So I'm going to go into the actual text and just delete that because I'm going to put my own text inside of it. Everything else is fine, however, and we can see there's a little highlight, and it looks kind of neat. Okay, so now what we need to do is new text. Make sure you deselect everything here, and we're going to come in and do some new text. And I am going to just type in market and rally, and I'm going to position this, bring it down inside of here, but in the cable news thing, everything's right justified. So I'm going to go to paragraph like this and right justify it, and then drag it back into position so that it shows right here. Then what they have is a little arrow pointing up here that's green. Well, another thing is they have this guy, the top part, market, is white, but the rally is a different color. So let's go and change the color on that. So we can just go select this, and I went again and copied the hex code for this, 15DC09. Click on OK. And again, we are going to do a drop shadow on this. So just drag drop shadow over, drop it on there. I'm I'm going to play around with the distance between these lines right here because I don't really like the way they are set up. And I'm going to set them to be right around 50, just based off of the template I'm working with. And drag it down here into the middle. And then I'm going to draw a little triangle inside of here. So I'll go get Polygon Tool. And I'm going to want this to be a regular fill. So fill, give it a flat color, click on OK. And the fill is going to be exactly the same color as Rally. So just select Rally. OK. There's the shape, Polystar. This is going to be 3. So Polystar path points and change this to 3. There we are. Select it, resize it, put it into position. And then we're going to do a drop shadow on it also. So just move it around until you're happy with where it is. Open up effects. There's the drop shadow. Drag it and drop it on your arrow. All right, so there you go. We got 2 pre-comps done. All right, so now I'm going to go and duplicate this. So mark it up and Control or Command D and go and give this a new name. I'm going to call it indexes like that. And let's open up our indexes. So here it is. And I'm going to come in and, well, I'm going to go and first resize it. So composition settings. And I'm going to change this to 4 to 15. Again, I have these dimensions because of my measurements inside of Illustrator. 105, everything else is fine. Click on OK. I'm going to go in and get rid of the triangle because I do not need that. Whoops, make sure you get the right thing here. So get this guy right there. I'm going to hit delete. OK, that's gone. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this also. And I'm also going to get rid of the highlight because there's no highlight whenever they do the little indexes in the lower right-hand corner. What I'm referring to is this part down here. Whenever there is an update, they show either the yield, but sometimes they show the actual stock indexes. All right, so that's what I'm going to put down there. So I have my background that's going to be animated. I'm going to get my text, and I'm going to put this inside of here. And I'm going to type in Dow, and I'm going to type in 30,120.70. And go and move that onto the screen. This is going to be left justified, so paragraph over here. Drop that in like that, and just move it into position. And let's take down the size of this. So I'm going to take this down to say like around 48, something in that ballpark. And I'm going to make it white. So like this and white. There we go. Good stuff. Now I'm going to go get the other text tool, drag that inside of here. And I'm going to type in 480.23 and 1.52%. And this is going to be right justified. So paragraph again, right justified like that. And then drag it into position to fill the area. All right, I'm just basically copying what they use in the cable news program. So there we are. Now what I want to do is I want to keyframe every 4 seconds. So, and then I'm going to change the text in both of these 2 guys that we have here. All right. So we can go and select both of these. And I can come up here and just type in text, and text source is going to show up for both of these. And I can go and keyframe them. So I'm going to say keyframe, and I'm going to go 4 seconds and then change them. So come in here, put a keyframe, and then highlight the Dow and type in NASDAQ, and then do the same thing for the right side. So highlight this and say 266.47 and 2.03%. All right, and then I'm going to jump ahead 4 seconds from that, which is going to be at 8 seconds, and I'm going to put down another keyframe again for here and for here. And then as you can see, every 4 seconds, our indexes are going to change, and we got another pre-comp done. All right, so save that, move on. All right, so now we got to do the little text headlines here, as well as the ticker for all the different stocks. You can see this is white, this is blue, this is like an orangey brown, this is black, and this is white text, of course. So I'm going to create a brand new composition because there's no gradients or anything. So new composition. And I'm going to call it ticker, and I'm going to define its size, which is 1309 by 105, exactly the same. Everything else is the same. Click on OK. it's going to have a white background. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select Rectangle Tool. I'm going to come in here and get white. So there's white like that. And then I'm just going to double click on this to fill the composition. And then I am going to go and draw in a blue one as well. So, whoops, cancel that and deselect. And now select it and we're going to put in a blue color. And it is going to be 0047B3. Click on OK. And then we can draw in that rectangle. And it's just purely there. It's going to cover up half of the available space that we have. So we can come in. It doesn't need to be precise. And we can just see if it looks like it is in the middle. And it does. So it looks pretty cool. All right. So now we have that orangey text. And then we have the white text on the bottom. So I'm going to go and create I'm going to deselect everything down here. And then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to have all the text to just be in one text box. All right, so there is the text and I just made it Arial again. Maybe let's take it down a little bit in size. So let's try something like Arial 43, left align, and so forth and so on. Well, this text down here at the bottom, I'm going to want this all to be white. So I got that highlighted and change that to white. All right, so that's good. Looks perfect. This text up here, however, remember we have to go from orange to black. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select all of this stuff. And then I'm going to change it to that orange color. And that is B6921C. Click on OK. And then what you're going to need to do is this is going to remain black. And then you're going to just move the text around and highlight it to make sure that everything is the right color. So I'm just going to move it down like this, highlight this text like this, get the eyedropper tool and click on the orange. And I'm going to do that across the rest of the text. So do the same here. Again, eyedropper and orange. And there you go. I have everything in place. So at the 0 keyframe, I'm just going to drag back to the beginning and all the colors look perfect. And of course, if you would want to put those icons in there and things, you could just go and slap them inside of there, inside of a Precomp, and no problem, you can animate away. I just wanted to, that's the only part that I sort of skimped out on in this video. Okay, so we have our text. We're going to come down to transform, position, click right there. And then we're going to go way down to the bottom part, like almost at 20 seconds. And we are going to change the position on this. And that change in position is going to be all of these moved way over. So just keep going at the 20-second mark. And there we are. So we are at the end of that position. And now, of course, we can just go back to the beginning. And when this plays, it scrolls exactly like it does on television. Okay, so another Precomp done. Now the only thing left is this index right here, all these different indices, and the logo and the time and so forth. So we're going to create another Precomp, so new composition, and the size on this one is going to be 415 by 145. And I'm going to make my background white, not that it matters, and click on OK. Everything else is perfectly fine. All right, so here's our new Precomp. I have my CMBC logo that is right here. I'm just going to drag it down here, drop it into place. Okay, so there is the CMBC logo. I'm just going to move it up here. So good stuff. Now I got to get the blue area inside of here. I'm just going to double click on the little rectangle tool up here. And then just drag it down to where that I want it to be, which is basically right underneath where the logo ends. I'm going to change the fill color on this, however. 001-332. Click on OK. All right, so there that is. And then I just need to add my text to it. So again, deselect absolutely everything. Get your text. Click inside of here. And what are we going to type? UK footsie. And then plus 1.39%, German DAX, and plus 1.65%, and France. Actually, I think they use uppercase letters for everything. So let's do German, DAX, and France. CAC plus 1.76%. And let's go and change everything about this. All right, so this is white, this is green. I'm going to lower the size of this to say something like 34, like this. Let's go and lower the distance between the different elements so that they all fit on the screen at the same time. Maybe we want to come in here to our rectangle area and increase this a little bit. Go and get our logo, increase that up a little bit so that we have plenty of room for the most important thing, which is our indices. I changed this from bold to regular because it looked better. All right, and I'm going to go get my text tool. I'm going to change this to white. So white like this. Okay, good. Do the same for all of these. I can just use the eyedropper tool if I'd like. So all of these are going to be white. Whoops, that's black actually. This one and this one. Okay. And then let's go and give these equal space. And since they're plus, they're all going to be green. And let's go and highlight this. Change the color to green. And that is 48FF00. Click on OK. And then it's just a matter of highlighting all of these and making them also green. So there's this, and highlight this, and also make it green. And there we go. We got all of our pre-comps done. Everything looks good. Let's save it. Jump back into our main comp. There is this. One more thing. I'm going to go and change the name on this. So let's call this indices 2. All right, that's good. Now main comp. Oh, another thing is indices 2. I'm also going to come in here and give a white background. So I'm just going to double click on that and make this white. And okay, and then go and drag this underneath everything else. All right, good stuff. All right, so back to main comp, and now we just have to place everything. And this is where I'm going to place all the individual pieces, of course. So we'll come into the beginning of our video that we have right here. And what shows up first? Well, mark it up. I'm just going to drag this in here and drop it in there. Then we're going to have our headline. I'm going to drag that, drop that inside of there. Then we are going to have indices 2, right? Yep, there's indices 2, which should line up with this. Then we're going to have our ticker. So let's drag the ticker inside of here, drop it into place. And then our indices. So indices like this, drop it into place. And then we can grab all of them and play around with them so that we can bring them down to the bottom of the screen and place them wherever we would like. Of course, you can play around and line them up a little bit better. And then you can see everything is working. All right, so there you go, guys. That is how you go and create numerous different types of graphics and animations to simulate a cable news program. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And like always, please leave your questions and comments down below. Otherwise, till next time.